yourself a cool background.
Yeah, but
There you go. Oh wow, Dong Paltries. How'd you get over there so fast?
oh, really easy. It's just beam me up, Scotty, and then beam me down, Scotty.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
So weird tea.
Weird tea.
It's a fun Friday. We can talk about weird tea. Um, I don't know. I was thinking about that on the drive over. Like, what weird tea have I drank or know about? I guess I'll let you start because it was your idea.
Okay.
Yeah. What were you thinking?
Well, I'll start with maybe not weird tea, but like a blended matcha.
Like different cultivars, like what matcha
Nope.
usually is.
Nope. Matcha
Okay.
powder in the bowl, and
Yeah.
then a little bit of ginger and a little bit of onion.
Oh, interesting. Okay, all right. So I've seen like blends where they add in different ingredients to flavor, but never onion and garlic.
Yeah. And ginger. No.
Oh, ginger and garlic.
Yeah. No, ginger and onion.
Ginger and onion. Why don't you just throw some garlic in there? Go all in.
Good. I haven't tried that yet. I've only tried ginger alone and onion.
And you did
alone
that
and
like
both.
you just did that like at home yourself, or was this like at a restaurant or a tea shop?
This is in Korea.
Oh, okay, cool.
They do a bunch of that kind of stuff.
Like savory. Interesting. That's very cool. Did you like it?
Idea.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes. Unless you put too much ginger in it, then it's just overpowering. But you want to put like just a few grams, a pinch, a tincture, not a tincture.
I really like ginger though. If I was to go heavy on anything, I definitely would like err on going heavier on the ginger than the onion.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The onion doesn't really show up unless you put more into it than like ginger.
Yeah.
Matcha kind of overpowers the onion. And when it comes to whisking it, it doesn't really affect it at all, which kind of surprised me.
Was this like ginger powder and onion powder, or
yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
Not like chopped onions, just like
a whole onion. Yeah, big onion.
Just a little crunch.
Crunch. Yeah.
That would be interesting though. So like one of my strangest discoveries in kind of my culinary adventure throughout the pandemic. I've been doing a lot of cooking and learning more about food, which is great. And one of my like coolest discoveries has been like not finely chopped onions in salads. Like usually when I take onion, I like it finely chopped. Like I like the flavor of onion, but I just like I don't know. It's just not my favorite. Like when I make a hamburger, I don't like putting like slices of raw onion in it. I'm not a big fan. But I tried it out one time. I made like cucumber salad. And I just felt compelled to like cut the onions into bigger pieces. It was like tomato, cheese, cucumber, and coarse onion. And I really liked that flavor. And so now I do it all the time, and it's like my favorite thing about salad now. But it'd be kind of cool to like do that and then like coat the onion in matcha, and then put that into the salad.
That'd be really interesting. Soak the onions. Or yeah, cook the onions.
I just say coat in the powdered matcha, like not prepared matcha.
Oh, coat it.
Yeah, coat it. So it has like a green layer on the pieces of the onion. Just adds that umami to that onion crunch. Yeah.
Yeah. Onion powder in matcha does not, at least to me, doesn't taste exactly what you think.
So what did it taste like? Explain that if it's not what you think.
Boy. It didn't taste like matcha with like that onion taste, with just an onion taste. It tasted more. I have no idea how to explain it. Plus, like, I haven't done it in a few years.
Yeah.
Where I do ginger more often.
All right. Well, I'm gonna do it. One of next next week I'll bring
Yeah.
some onion powder in and some ginger powder.
I don't have any matcha anymore.
Well, do you know where to get some, right? You know where to get some?
Yeah, down the street at the farmer's market. Or at Schnucks, at the grocery store.
What? You should get some of our matcha. You like it?
Yeah, I need some.
It's on our website now. You can easily find it anytime.
I should. I will. So what
Terry mentioned about a matcha chia pudding recipe. That sounds interesting. Like an overnight chia with matcha. I'm doing there's like a company here in Vegas that it's like a software company that matches like chefs. So like when restaurants were fully open, like they would allow a restaurant to create like a secret menu item and then have like a special event, and you could buy tickets to this special event to get the special menu item that they don't usually have. And it was actually a pretty popular website, but the pandemic happened and they can't really do that. So instead, what this website does now is like works with the chefs to make like a cooking kit, and you like you buy it online and you go pick up from the restaurant like a box with all the ingredients, and then you go home and there's a Facebook Live video of doing a cooking demonstration of like the pasta or whatever like the famous dish from that restaurant is. So like people can cook that restaurant's food at home. And it's actually been very popular too. And so I asked, my friend owns that website, and I asked her, I said, what do you think about like a matcha, set? And she's like, I think that's a great idea. So like, I'm going to put together a box of things, and I'm going to try to make it where I can ship the box. So like, you don't have to be in Vegas, because usually you have to be close to be able to pick up, their perishable ingredients. So you have to pick it up and cook it that night. But I think with the matcha, like I'm thinking about doing a crepe cake, like a cook along with me crepe, the crepe cake. What do you think?
I don't know. Is it good? I'm sure it's good.
Oh my God, it's so good.
I prefer pancakes to crepes, but that's me. I mean, they're not the same thing, I know.
They're very different things. They have a different place. Yeah.
But if I had they're similar in my eyes, but they're not the same thing. Yeah.
So probably like the strangest like matcha concoction I've ever put together, like baked good I ever made, was Jake and Nick's birthday. I made matcha durian cake.
That sounds horrible.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. Those
matcha
flavors.
And durian?
Yeah, the flavors go really well together.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would never have thought it. I should try that. I don't know. I'm not a baker. So I have friends that bake, so I'll have them do it.
So when I do like matcha baked items or matcha items, I usually don't like to cook the matcha itself. Or if I do cook the matcha like into the cake, I like to have some element to the recipe where the matcha's raw, so that you get the actual effect. Because I think if you bake matcha into a cookie or into a bread or something, like it downplays the effect of the matcha, especially if you're using like lower grade, like kitchen grade. So I usually like to have like the ceremonial grade somewhere in the in the cake that's like not cooked. So either I'll put like a really fat layer of sprinkled, I'll like what do you call that? Sift the matcha, and I'll put a pretty thick layer of the matcha, so that way even when you take a small slice of the cake, you're getting, at least 1.5 grams of ceremonial grade matcha with your dessert, so you can feel good. Durian also makes you feel good. It has some, body high effects. So that cake was a nice cake. The only thing is it gives you durian burps. You know that? You've ever had that?
It's been so long since I've had durian. I have no idea if I had it. It's been like 10 years, at least. Whew. No, maybe it's been 5 years because I had it in my friend's house. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I get that burps, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, they stink. But it's a reminder, you know?
Yeah.
It's a reminder of the goodness that you had. Anybody that knows me knows I'm super into durian. Like, anybody that's traveled with me whenever we're in, like, fresh durian country, they know I'm going to be eating, like, a whole durian to myself, and it's going to stink. And I'm going to be so happy. Oh, this tea is good. This is the. Did you ever go back and do the Nano tasting video? The Lee family one, the last video.
Oh, half of it.
You've done half of it. So you haven't. Did you taste the teas yet, or you just watched?
No, I just watched the beginning part.
Oh, okay, yeah. The purple white.
Mm-hmm.
One of the samples in there. It's really good. That's what I'm drinking right now.
I'll do that this afternoon. Oh, I don't have the tea with me. Well.
Oh yeah, it's at your house, huh? Terry's asking what durian is.
Is it a fruit?
It is a fruit, yeah. It's
Okay.
a really interesting looking fruit. Here, I'll pull a picture up. It has like spikes. It's like spiky, kind of ugly looking from the out. Very interesting looking from the outside, and then the inside. This picture's good. From the inside, it looks like I don't know. It's hard to explain. But it has like big seed pods. It has big seed pods that are covered with like a really soft custardy. Like that's the best way to describe it. Custardy. Sweet, but stink. Like as soon as you like peel off like the first thing, like right here, they peel off the skin. Like whenever it's not open, they don't stink. You can hardly smell, like if you can faintly smell it, but you don't really smell it. Once you crack it open, oh boy. It smells like sweaty feet, sweaty socks, or cat litter. I think different people have different response to the olfactory on that.
I've never really smelled those things on purpose. So.
Well, like, I've gotten, like, a durian shake around you, and you've smelled that, right?
Yeah,
yeah. But even that, so that's frozen durian. Like, all durian in the United States, like, you can find it mostly, like, in Chinatowns. Like, it's a really popular fruit flavoring ingredient in Chinese, like, Southeast Asian cuisine. Mm-hmm. You can find it, and usually it's, like, in the form of, like, desserts or milkshakes or something like that. But like, and it stinks still. Like when you get the smoothie, you can smell it, but it's faint compared to like the real fruit. Like when they crack that first one open, ooh, it smells.
It doesn't taste bad. I mean, it's not like it tastes like it smells.
It tastes so different. It tastes like sweet, beautiful, buttery custard. Just gorgeous. Even the texture is nice too. Some people get turned off by the texture because it's kind of soft and slimy a little bit, that fruit. But if you put it into a smoothie, you don't sense the texture at all. It's just the sweet flavor. It's like a custard ice cream milkshake. So good. But someone on Instagram is asking, what pu'ers do you like? And in the spirit of weird tea, let's go in that direction. What is like the weirdest pu'er that you like?
Weirdest?
Yeah. There's some
weird
pu'er, you know?
Like weird or odd pu'er. I've had old pu'er.
Well, you probably have had funky pu'er.
Yeah, bad pu'er. Yeah. I don't like that musk smell. or taste even.
What turns me off is the fishiness. I'm not into that fishiness. Like when it's
Yeah,
like that.
that too.
It's like that's a smell that you usually want to stay away from. Like I used to work in a sushi factory. You know, like Costco has those big trays of sushi. I used to work in the factory doing quality control for those trays of sushi, and we did a lot of raw fish. You know, like tuna and salmon. And we would receive a lot of it, and I'd have to quality control check it. And that fishy smell, like that's the first thing. If you smell it, like anytime I would even smell it in the freezers or I'd smell it in the fridge, like I'd immediately have to like go into a protocol of like checking each package to find which one's the bad one. So like that smell for me was something that was like a red flag, you know? And so when I smell it in a tea, I'm just like, no, thank you. And then now that I understand the industry and understand why that's so, you know, like I definitely don't want to drink the tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you move from Pu'er to like a Hunan Heicha, I've had some pretty cool ones.
What about that? So like I don't have a lot of experience with heicha. Like, is it very common to find like poorly processed heicha like that style? That I know there's probably deficiencies everywhere, but like that particular one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can find a lot of bad ones. It's hard to find a good one unless you have contacts. Or you know exactly where to go. So, I mean, good ones can be amazing.
Yep.
And then you've got the ones, a big craze, at least in the early teens of this year, 20 teens. They a big craze was scenting heicha with flowers, like you would a jasmine.
Yeah.
So a big one was lotus.
Oh,
blossom.
interesting. Okay, that's kind of cool. They should scent it with durian.
No. No, that'd bankrupt them.
I'm full of all kinds of great ideas.
I don't know if that's a great idea.
You watch. It's all about the marketing, Eric. You watch. I'm going to do it. I'm going to, like, I know I'm not into doing scented teas, but just because I'm going to do this particular one.
Yeah.
No, that's a big trend. Like, scenting heichas, like you know the heicha inside the orange, the mandarins? That is the number one top selling tea in China right now.
I've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true.
It's true.
Would you say it's true?
It's true. And it's like a huge industry, and we hardly see it here, you know? Like, it comes here and there. But most of it that's being produced is super commercial, you know, not very tasty. But it's trendy, you know, because it looks cool. And yeah, it's like a little bit flavored, you know, having an interesting flavor.
That you're supposed to like break a little piece off the orange and put it in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not into that tea, you know, like that's another one of those that the first time I tasted a sip of it, I was like, yeah, I'm never going to have this type of tea again. But I've seen, so when I judged that tea brewing competition in Shanghai, one of the sponsors, or actually not a sponsor, she probably was a sponsor. It was probably crooked. But she was a judge. She was a judge, and she was like the CEO. Yes, Patrick, please come soon. Please, please, please. She was a judge, and she was a CEO of the company, like one of the largest producers of those Mandarin teas. And so that's how she was explaining to me how fast the market had been growing, and it was the top-selling tea. And she had a student that was competing in the contest, and he was pretty cool. He was like the hip kid in the competition. He was playing some like really cool, like obscure, like tech house song during his presentation.
Mm-hmm. Not Klaus Nomi, huh?
No Klaus Nomi. I think that would be you. Oh my god, I can't wait till you compete in one of those competitions. You got Klaus Nomi while you're like doing your like graceful tea
I'm not
service.
all about the the Sichuan kettles.
Yeah.
function over beauty.
But anyway, her student, he had this like very interesting way of brewing that tea. Like he exclusively brewed that tea. Like he studied that type of tea, and I'm like, what a sad tea path to be going down. But it's cool. Everybody's got their own path.
Yeah.
I wonder where he is now. I'm sure he's expanded and drinking other teas now. But he was very interested in that tea, and I think he had actually like sought out her as a teacher because he was so interested in that style of tea. But he brewed it where he just had his pitcher, his glass pitcher, and then a strainer on top, and he put the whole mandarin inside that strainer, and that strainer had like a very fine grating on the strainer, so like it would drip out very slowly, and he would just like pour just enough of the hot water to like fill the mandarin, and he was just pouring it super slowly, but it was like a pour over, like coffee, like you've seen that in the coffee shops where they've got the they pour over the coffee, but he's like doing it but like even slower, and just like barely filling that mandarin, and then like letting it slowly steep, and then it just dripping down, and then that's what he served.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's cool. I like that.
I gotta
like,
see that.
A unique way.
Then try that.
I think I have a video of it. I'll have to try to find that video and share it with you. It would definitely be in the archives.
Yeah.
That was a long trip I did, and there was like a lot of videos and photos taken. So.
Mm-hmm. When was that? What year?
2017.
2017.
Mm-hmm. Spring of 2017. Yeah, that was a cool experience. Getting to see so many different tea brewing styles.
Mm-hmm. I like experimenting with tea steeping styles. Finding out what's good, what's really bad, what's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have had a weird poor type heicha in Korea that was like pressed into a bowl. And it had
cool.
like flowers. I think it had chrysanthemums in it. Like
oh, sweet. So Eric, there's some bad news. Virginia, she agrees that durian scented heicha is a good idea.
Oh, maybe heicha. I don't know. It's worth a try, except depending on how big your pile is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your wo doi. Because if you're going to have like...
So they scent it while they're fermenting it, or do they scent it after the fermentation? I would think that it'd be smarter for you to be scenting it afterwards, because the fermentation process is really risky. When you introduce other elements to it, then you're affecting all of the flora.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know, from a scientific perspective, that's what I would feel like. Sorry, I'm getting like a marketing call. A really annoying marketing call.
Cool. But yeah, I should ask what they do. It probably is after, now that I think about it.
I would think it'd have to be, because you don't want anything disturbing that process,
No.
Unless you want it. I mean, science is weird, Sometimes what you think is going to happen doesn't happen, and something different happens, so.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't be able to separate the blossoms out. Because it would totally just, like, degrade.
Yeah, right? Because that's what it does.
Yeah.
That's what the fermentation does, yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know how you would do durian. I'm sure there's ways to do it.
Well, what I would do is I would probably dry durian fruit, like like the solar dryer I've showed you that I've made, where it's like the trays, And instead of having it in the sun, because yeah, you don't want the tea in the sun; it would cook too much. You could create those cycles of convection, drying convection. Um, yeah, I'm going to show a picture of that solar dryer just so everybody can understand what I'm talking about.
I wonder if we could use one of those troughs. I don't know.
Oh, there goes that clock again.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a good picture. Okay, so I guess that's all we're gonna get. So you'd usually have it in the sun. Sorry, Eric. I don't know if I'll show you another time. I don't think you can see it right now. I'm showing it on the stream though. So like, there's a vent in the back at the bottom where the air comes in, and then it goes inside of this closed-in space where the air is captured and can heat up. It gets like hotter in there. So then the heating air rises, and as it rises through these screened shelves that has the fruit. So I put the durian on the bottom shelf and then put the tea on the top shelf, because then all of the moisture from the durian goes with that air, like goes with that hot air up, and then escapes through a vent at the top, so it'll pass the tea. And as it passes the tea will absorb a lot of that aroma. Mm-hmm. And then, but I wouldn't have it in the sun because that would cook the tea too much. But if you put this system into the sun for a couple of hours with nothing in it, it'll create the convection in there. It'll naturally create that cycle of air coming in and heating and going up. And then you can move it into the shade and put your products inside, and it'll still do the job, like even in the shade. Because like the sun itself is not, like the heat from the sun, it looks like in this photo, it's a hot day here, and it looks like the sun's actually doing the work. But the sun is not. Like the sun, it's that air, it's that airflow that's actually doing the work. Yeah, so that's cool.
You get one.
You can make one. You know, I have the plans for it. That's what I did on my second Peace Corps assignment. So like I have like this 6-page PDF that like explains all the science of it, and then it's got all of the materials lists, like if you were to go to like the hardware shop and buy all this stuff, or you can even recycle materials. A lot of it you can recycle, you know, unused wood materials or whatever. And then it's got all of the dimensions, and actually the dimensions are unique to where you're located. So that was what was kind of interesting in trying to explain in that PDF, is that like, here's a general design, but there's like 2 pieces of wood, like the intersection at the top, like the angles at the top. That angle is supposed to be like the perpendicular angle to your latitude, because that's the sun, right? Like, you know what I mean? So like the sun is this big thing, and then the earth is this small thing. And so when you think of the sun's rays coming to the earth, like they're coming at the angle of where you are in the earth, and that's like your hottest sun rays coming in are coming in at that angle, depending on, you know?
Yeah.
So you want to catch that angle if possible. So like in the solar energy, the solar industry, they do that. Like when they put solars on the roof or whatever, like they're gonna tilt the panels to get optimal sun exposure. That was kind of a hard thing for me to understand as I was building that project, like trying to understand how to explain that, and like why is that angle so important. I'm like, it's see-through, it's vinyl plastic see-through, like why does that angle matter? But it really does matter, because like there's friction, like even if it's, you know, unseeable, like unmeasurable amounts, like there's friction there, and that affects, it affects the process. Science.
I should try to build one.
Yeah, you should. Do you have like woodworking materials like saws and?
Yeah.
Is that your dad? Yeah. Your dad's into building stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Cool. Yeah, I could totally give your dad that document. I could actually for St. Louis, I could figure out that angle and figure out that because it's all just in SketchUp. When I figure out like how long you need to cut the pieces of wood or whatever, and so you can make that angle in SketchUp, and whenever you sketch it out, then it'll tell you like how long the pieces are. I love SketchUp. It's a fun software to play with.
So fascinating, because you got to customize it. You don't think of that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yup. So yeah, weird tea.
Oh yeah. Do you boil a lot of your teas? No.
No. Sometimes like when I'm making like milk tea. Hi Shiloh. Sometimes when I'm making milk tea, I'll want it strong. Like if I'm going to be adding in more sweetener or something, it's kind of fun to make it strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are teas that are meant to be boiled.
Yeah.
That I like. I've got a special kettle or a kettle designated to that. So, with a heavy filter on the spout.
Yeah. I noticed you're drinking straight from your pot today. That's a classy move.
Thank you. It's iced. It's not hot.
Is that your drinking pot? Is that your sippy pot?
Yeah. Oh. If you put hot water in it, it gets way too hot. I don't know what kind of clay it is.
Yeah.
No, I do. It's Chaozhou clay.
Oh, okay.
But it's really, it's like almost too dense. And it is really thick clay. So that's probably why it gets so incredibly hot.
Thanks for listening in, Shiloh. Shiloh just jumped up on Instagram.
Hi,
Have you connected with him much, Eric?
A little bit.
Good. Yeah. You guys are both good tea people. I hope you can be tea friends. But yeah, he just commented his gratitude for yesterday's discussion, which I did want to touch on because you messaged me this morning, wanting a little bit more clarity of what we were talking about because we were talking about a lot of stuff and it was happening pretty fast and.
Yeah.
And then you throw someone like Sohan into the conversation, which I don't know if you noticed. Sohan has been very active, on holding these holding the space and having these conversations around this. So he's very well versed. He's very well practiced right now. And so when he had things to say, it was really had them.
He knew how to say it.
Yeah, he knew how to say it for sure, and it kept the conversation moving really quickly. So I could understand the need for revising or revisiting some things and clarification on some things. Mm-hmm. But I mean, ultimately, it's just broadening our definition of what colonialism, and if we do that, it'll actually cover a lot of ground. Even in regards to other discriminatory issues, sexism and whatever else, not just specifically cultural appropriation or because before that conversation, I felt like the definition of colonization was exclusively meaning a country occupying another country and taking ownership of, what I mean? That was
land-based.
Yeah. But after yesterday's conversation, I'm no, this word can mean so much more. And if we change the perception of that word to that, we can start having some really powerful conversations about how these things are all interconnected. Shiloh can see you now, Eric. He moved to Facebook, so now he can see you.
Oh no! Don't look at me.
Yeah. So no, it's good. I'm glad that you were there for it, Eric. It's a good conversation, and can have more. I mean, and I'd encourage you to like even like explore ways to like talk to your family or friends or peers about it. You know, of course, understanding the boundaries and the comfort level, because that was something that like Ray and Mafalda ended up kind of going into is that like when you do approach these subjects, you have to understand your audience, because sometimes if you talk about these things, especially with too much passion and emotion, it can shut someone out. Like someone might shut off, you know, because either you offend something or you touch on some insecurity that they have. So, you know, but you still have to have these conversations. And it's cool that now we've discovered that, like, even having the conversation of the origin of tea is actually addressing these issues. So, you know what I mean? Like, as tea lovers, we can find our own language and our own methods of having these conversations, which can transcend into some of these bigger overarching issues that we're dealing with in society. And you know, and people are trying to like guilt trip us into thinking that we're not doing enough to fight racism or to be anti-racist. You know, they post like, oh, we see your silence. And it's like, how do you know my silence? How do you know what conversations I'm having with people? Because really, the more intimate conversations that you have are far more effective than some social media meme that you can share. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay. So, I mean, I get it, like, letting people know, like, now is a time of action is important, but, like, shaming someone, and especially when you don't know their situation, you don't know what conversations they're having, you don't know what feelings they're having, what internal work they're doing. But
it's not productive.
It's not productive.
No.
Inclusion, right? And that's like one of the principles of tea that people are always saying, right? That tea is inclusive. How do you feel about that?
Oh.
Do you agree with that?
I suppose. I'd have to think more about it. But probably I have to think more about it.
What does that word mean to you? Inclusion, inclusive.
That's what I have to think about. What exactly it means to me. I can't really, or at least what it.
How about the word exclusive? Does that word mean anything to you?
Yeah. I mean, that has more of a definite meaning. But it just means, I don't know.
Yeah. Hi, Jeremy. Good to see you. This is fun. That was a surprise. I didn't put the link up. I was like, you know what? If someone really wants to come in, they'll know how to get in. You want me to unmute you, Jeremy? Or are you working on that?
Or am I invading someone's space? I didn't realize that.
No, you're not. You're totally welcome. Look at our smiles. This is an inclusive environment. Jeremy's trying to come on and teach us what the word inclusion means.
You made it kind of sound like I was hacking into this conversation. But no, I was just overhearing you talk about yesterday, and I figure I'll just jump back in.
Good. Yeah, no, Eric was a part of the conversation yesterday earlier on, and then he had to leave for a phone call, and then this morning he messaged me, and he was like, Elise, I gotta be a little honest. Like, once, like, Ray and Sohan started rapping, I kind of lost him, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, totally understandable, I get it. So, like, you know, we can talk about it again. Like, there's no harm in trying to rephrase things.
Yeah, conversation went many different directions, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
All good things, though.
Good.
I mean, no one ever everyone was always in control.
Mhm.
That actually kind of very emotionally charged, topic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think that's harder and harder to find.
What, the topics or the people?
No. No, I mean, like, it's like you have the topics, but if people have the patience with each other and will hear each other out, and kind of feed off each other, and then it was a really natural conversation that went from everything into a lengthy discussion on the nature of capitalism in the end, which I thought, I was hoping that would go on longer. I think everybody got tired by that point.
Well, maybe we can continue that conversation because Eric, you know me, I'm always down to talk about capitalism.
Yeah. You need a political scientist here. Even more, a political philosophist. Oh boy.
A philosophist?
Political philosophy?
Philosopher. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the correct, or is it philosophist? I don't know. It's Friday. I'm a little lost.
Philosophist. I'm ready for the weekend.
4th of July.
Oh boy. So,
Yeah, I can't even imagine what's going to be happening this weekend. Everybody's going to want to be partying and being out with each other.
I want to sleep the whole time.
Oh, good for you, Eric.
Yum. I don't know about yum, but comfortable.
Maybe you'll dream about donuts, you know?
There you go. Sweet dreams.
Oh, philosophism.
I know. My cousin is a political philosopher.
Yeah, cool.
And her husband is a political scientist.
What's the difference? Like,
I have no idea.
I would think that they're similar. I understand the difference, but like I would think that they probably have some very fun conversations with each other.
As far as I know, political philosophy is more about theory.
Yeah.
Whereas political science is
Systems.
how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I studied ancient philosophy for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what you learn about philosophers is that you're always right if you can argue convincingly. So there doesn't need to be any scientific method behind it. Unless you're like sociologist or psychologist, there's method behind it. Philosophy is just, live in your head. But as long as you're convincing, in a way you're right.
Yeah. You just have to be confident.
Yeah, it's all theory, but philosophers are a strange bunch of people. They live entirely in their heads. I was there for a while. I didn't like it in there. At a certain point, I actually heard the best definition of philosophers is philosophers see their bodies as nothing more than a means of getting their head from one room to the next.
I like that.
And that's who they are.
Yeah. I'm afraid it looks like I have to go. It's got to watch Hamilton
Oh, really?
with my parents. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. You guys are gonna watch it before your friends come over. That's good. Let me know how it is.
So, great chatting. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in all the way from Ruishan. The time difference is a little tricky right now.
I'll just have to beam myself up again.
Yeah.
And then beam back to St. Louis. Waste of energy. Okay.
All right. Well, enjoy, Eric. Thank you for chatting with me.
All right. See you later.
Bye, Jeremy.
Bye.
So yeah, Jeremy, we're talking about weird tea.
The lighting is awful. Weird teas.
Yeah. I don't know. We got a little off topic, but that's cool. It's weird. I'm drinking a weird tea right now, actually. This is a white tea processed out of purple leaf.
Okay.
Yeah, purple leaf. Someone would say is weird, but I don't think so. It's not really weird. It's quite common now, the purple leaf, but it's usually processed either into a black tea or a shung. You know, I think even some show you can find, but never a white tea. It's good. Got a nice taste to it.
Is this purple tea like the purple leaf?
Yeah.
Now, is it sort of like the hand-picked Asian purple leaf, or is it the sort of mass-produced Kenyan purple leaf?
It's somewhere in between. I'll tell
Okay.
you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm catching up on all of Shiloh's comments. He's been leaving a lot of nice comments here. We can revisit them after I explain this. But so yeah, I say it's somewhere in between because it's from Yunnan, and it's hand-picked and hand-processed, quality processed. But the purple leaf is not like the wild purple leaf that is really highly valued. Like that's the really good stuff. It's kind of like the Kenyan in theory because it's like clones. So like the purple leaf is like a random genetic expression that happens, you know, when the seed-grown plants grow. When you go walking through the wilderness, or not the wilderness, but like the forest and ancient tea trees, or where tea trees are growing from seeds, you will randomly find a purple tree. I don't know what the odds are. Maybe if I search on the internet, some researcher may have counted, you know, like the odds of a purple tree, but it's not very common. And so if you do find wild purple, it means that farmer had to go and find all the trees and harvest just from those trees to make that batch. So that's why it's so valuable. But you can like clone that mother bush. You can take one of those purple trees and clone it, and whatever you clone from it's going to be purple. And that's what they've done in Kenya, and other places too. They're not growing purple just in Kenya. I think Kenya has like a trend over the past decade or so. They've been really trying to popularize that style. But in China, they do the cloning too, to make it like more accessible and more affordable, more efficient, you know, for them to be able to get more purple products into the market. So it's still good quality. Like it's definitely artisanal still, but it's not like you know, when someone says, "Oh, this is a purple tea from Yunnan," like you do need to ask and specify: is it wild purple? Is it like the real purple, or is it, you know, cloned purple, the tidy, the, you know, like kind of the more plantation purple?
Yeah. I think in Kenya they were actually creating hybrids because they really wanted to have a purple tea, but they also wanted to be very distinctive at the same time. So they were, I remember someone telling me that they were creating sort of hybrids. So once they isolated a purple tree, then they tried to, whatever they do to create something
like
artificially original.
But that's what I don't understand, because in crossbreeding, like when you're doing that, you're randifying the genetics again, right? Because you're germinating a new genetic expression, you know, with the goal of like crossbreeding these two things that have characteristics, and you're hoping that they come together to make, you know, the characters you're looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of research, that stuff is constantly happening, constantly.
Because I've had the Kenyan purple leaf, but I haven't had anything from Asia.
It's much better. It's much better. You know, and I think the factor that makes Kenyan purple tea not the greatest is because it's not well processed tea. You know, the plant material may be fine for that terroir, but there's still processing the tea like, you know, more commercial grade.
It was interesting when they were talking about it that it was kind of bizarre. They were processing it like a black tea, but they told you to sort of brew it like an oolong.
Okay.
Yeah, they supposedly went through every type of technique, and they found out the sort of a highly oxidized version was the better of them all. But they really wanted you to brew it like at a lower temperature, like 180, 185 for a short brews. So, I mean, I don't know how that's just years of experimentation. But you said those purple leaves were actually processed like a white.
Yeah. So as I was saying, purple tea is usually processed into a black tea, and it's a lightly oxidized black tea. But this one's into a white tea, and so you can actually see the leaf here. Let me pull a leaf out on against the white, and you can see what the purple means. Hopefully you can see the purple color. Can you see it?
I'll make it a little bigger. Yeah.
You see that tint of purple?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool though. But then it's still green. You know, it's a white tea. You can still see like the lack of oxidation to the leaf. But there is some oxidation on the edges. There is some, but you can see that the purple hue to it. It's cool.
But yeah, because the one in Kenyon, it was more like a dark green leaf with purple veins. But again, like I said, I only really had experience with it once.
Mm-hmm.
It was good, you know, but that's all I can really say about it. I think that was actually at I think that was in Kansas City a couple years ago when Waterfall.
Okay, yeah, they
came in and they were doing a lot of things.
A lot, yeah. The chai and purple tea. Yeah.
But I never really followed through and see where they're at now or how much they were able to successfully market it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some marketability to it. A lot of people are really interested in it.
But it's not necessarily an entirely new type, is it?
No.
It's like there's debates on whether yellow tea is its own thing. But you have the five, and then people are trying to create their own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's all just kind of gimmicks and, you know, trying to evolve. And I think it's great, you know, like what I would like to see a lot more in the tea industry is people being innovative in a much more individualistic way versus like, I mean, I understand trends are popular or are important. So like by like the Kenyan government and the Kenyan Tea Board or whatever, for them to like cooperate the region to popularize Kenyan purple tea gets national attention, so it's good marketing. So there's value in that, but I also like to see more individualistic innovation, and I think that'll happen in time. But like even the tea masters of the more traditional, you know, old world teas, they kind of like follow the trends of their neighbors. Like in Taiwan, each mountain has a particular style of tea that they make, and it has, you know, multiple benefits. One of them is like the marketing. So then the market knows, oh, tea coming from this place is going to have this aesthetic to it. And then also it helps the farmers can knowledge share with each other, and then they can compete with each other and you know, try up their quality of that same style of tea. But I think there's also room for people to innovate, you know, and just kind of pave their own path. And maybe, you know, like it's like a hybrid. It's like some of your production is like following the orthodox of your terroir, and then part of it is also like innovative and trying different things. And yeah.
I think you were telling me that you saw that more and more in Nepal.
Yeah,
right,
that has to happen in Nepal, because the Orthodox there is a shitty situation. It's like get paid nothing You know, so it's like we've got to innovate and make a new path.
So that's a necessity.
Yeah.
I don't know, like how much of it is like the fear of failure? Because I know there are a lot of bourbon distilleries. I'm sure they're still doing this, where periodically they just every batch they create these experimental barrels, and it doesn't have to be anything too dramatic. They char the barrel a little bit longer, and then they sell it off as like this experimental collection. But it's okay to tell them this is bad. And I think that was that's the assumption of you going in, because it's hard to convince people to spend a lot of money on experimental bourbon.
Yeah.
And at the same time, be prepared to be disappointed with it.
Yeah.
But that's a cultural thing, I think, in bourbon, because bourbon drinkers were so anxious just to do anything new.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tried one where they substituted. I can't remember what they substituted with, but it was largely rice. So it's almost like they were trying to create some sort of sake hybrid bourbon. But I tried it. It was not good, but I did give it to somebody else who thought it was fantastic. But I don't know if it's like, I'm sure it is like, how large enough is the market with inside tea to actually pay for like experimental tea? Because only through that can you really evolve in any realistic way.
Yeah. So that's important. That's really important. Yeah. And that's work to be done. So like whenever I first started traveling to China, right? And by far, China is like the most advanced market, especially for supporting like artisanal, like craft tea, because the market, like there's connoisseurship and the market appreciates it. And I noticed that earlier on when I've gone to China, and when I would meet tea masters or tea shop owners and sit at their table, I learned very quickly that even though the connoisseurs support the market, they're very kind of limited in what they explore themselves. Like regional, like, you know, if you're from a certain area, if you're in Shanghai, like drinking really and understanding and appreciating really good quality, like fresh green teas, like Longjing and Baicha, and like teas from that region is what's important to you, versus, you know, if you're in Yunnan, then it's very pu'er centric. If you're in Fujian, it's very like oolong centric. And there wasn't really much deviation out of that. And like the connoisseur has like a set of standards that they work within, that they evaluate teas. And so, yeah, there's not room for introducing experimental things into the mix. You know, maybe here and there, you know, you can find a tea lover or a tea connoisseur that's like into it, but not a real legitimate opportunity. But in the past like 3 years, I've seen a drastic change in the tea houses that I've gone to, where you see their tea offerings much more diverse, and then even diverse beyond just Chinese teas to like Taiwanese teas, and appreciating Japanese tea culture. And then having an interest, you know, there's still like a very deep and valid skepticism that Indian teas can be good quality. But an interest in knowing maybe my opinion's wrong. You know what I mean? So like when someone like me travels and comes through and says, oh, I just came back from India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, I have some samples. In the past, they'd be like, oh, that's cool. Good for you. Thank you for studying tea. Like, let's learn from each other. But no, I'm not interested in sampling your tea, right? But now all of a sudden, it's like this exciting thing. I mean, the first time that ever happened, I was in Wuishan, and someone on Facebook found me and saw that I was in Wuishan and was like, hey, I work at the school at the tea university here. Can you come? We'd like to meet you. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll come. Sounds like an adventure. I was like meeting new people and seeing new places and new systems. And This was like a tea school, like one of the schools where they teach you, for the national tests of like becoming a tea master, becoming like an evaluator, or like so. And the master that was there, the teacher that was there, he had this huge table, and you could tell like they hold a lot of classes, a lot of sessions there. And I was accustomed to always just being humble. Like I'd gone through this several times before, so I just knew, just introduce myself, be humble, and just sit and let him teach me. And I did that. But then, as soon as they heard that I had samples, oh my God, they like flipped out, and they were like, "Oh, let's call!" And they're like on the phone, they're calling all their friends, and their friends are rushing over on their mopeds, like, "Oh yeah, we gotta come!" And they like bring out all the sampling cups, like the cupping sets. They like line them up on the table, like it was completely spontaneous. But they wanted to jump on that opportunity. They were like, "You have the samples with you right now. Okay, let's taste them. We're gonna call up all our friends." And yeah, they were sitting there tasting all these teas, from India or whatever I had picked up on my way. And that shocked me. I was like, whoa, this is cool. And this is that opportunity that's going to like open up that particular market, and that's just the Chinese market. If they become much more excited about diversity in teas and like trying new things, then the innovation can be supported. Like no longer is only Da Hong Pao that's processed in this way going to do well in the market, and only Dong Ding processed in this way is going to do well in the market. It's like if the tea is good, the connoisseur is going to be interested in it, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just whether or not they're dedicated to that level of. I guess it's just whether or not they can afford to do it, because it would represent a loss of business a little bit for that season, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Taking just some leaf aside, doing it in a different way, processing it, that's time and leaf that is potentially either wasted or potentially sold at 3 times expected value. It's, I don't know how many people are actually out there that are willing or able to do that every year.
Really poor people in Nepal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of the advantage of being in that situation, is that your leaf, like, is not very valuable as like the commodity type of a thing. So like whenever we do the Amazing Tea Race, like I invite people to travel with me and we go different places. When we go to like Taiwan or Japan or China and we're walking around on the fields, like and you feel compelled to just go pluck a leaf, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go pluck this. Oh my gosh, it's like, no, don't do that. Off guards. Like, are you going to pay for that leaf? So you're definitely not going to be able to like harvest your own little experimental batch, because that's usually what the buyers want to do. And I want them to do that too, because like, even if you make a tiny, tiny, tiny little batch of tea, like that is such an educational experience. Like you learn a lot about tea just going through that process. And in places where the market is established and the tea farmer has his quality processing established, it's like really hard to do that because their leaf is so valuable. But in like Nepal, they have so much leaf. They're like, yeah, I mean, take whatever you want. Like if we were to harvest ourselves and take it to the bought leaf factory down the street, we're not going to get more than 10 cents a kilo for it. So, have at it, have fun,
Yeah. Have they been affected by lockdowns as badly as India?
Yeah, more. Yeah, maybe even more. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. So I think you've been talking a lot about, we're getting mixed reports from India about what's really, really happening.
In regards to the virus?
No, yeah, in regards to the lockdown.
Okay, yeah.
What level is the productivity at? Is it 0 or is it actually happening?
So I think they're actually at 100% now. I believe that gardens, like tea processing, has gone back to like 100% capacity. But like there are other factors. So like the logistics systems are still locked down. So like any kind of like container shipments or anything like that is just done, so or on pause. So unless you're selling within the domestic market, and even that's difficult because like how do you deliver your product to your buyer? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's challenging. Nepal is definitely even more challenged just because of their lack of infrastructure, compared to India. It was already challenged before, and so now it's even more challenged with getting product out. But everybody is. Oh, look, it's Joe. Everybody is still actually able to process. Hi, Joe. What's up?
There we go.
How's it going, man? It's been a while.
It's been a minute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Yep, been a while for sure. I've just been, I don't know, busy.
You been working?
Yeah, well, yeah, that and just trying to take this time to address a lot of the things that get ignored when I'm too busy with work and business and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just trying to work on myself and spend some time in the woods. And I've been fishing a lot, so every free minute that I get, I just go out fishing.
Cool. I saw you posted some picture. You had a big catch. That was awesome.
Oh man, that was the biggest trout I've ever caught. It was like 24 inches, almost 5 pounds. That was a crazy day, man. That was a gift from Mother Earth for sure.
So did you prepare and consume that fish?
I have not. Our goal this year was to fill the freezer. So I just cleaned it up, froze it, and honestly, sometime in the fall, I think I'm going to get together with my uncle and go over to his house and smoke a bunch of the fish that I saved up.
Ooh,
so,
nice.
Yeah, so we're going to do some smoked trout and whatever else I happen to catch. It's mostly trout around here anyway. So
you should put some tea into your smoker.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's wonderful, actually.
Yeah. When you do that,
do that processing, like, is that? I guess I don't know when the tea is smoked. So.
Yeah, the whole time. So like when we smoke tea, or we smoke, we have a Traeger now. So like it has that like electric, smoking mechanism.
Right.
And you put the pellets in there, and then you can. You're supposed to exclusively use the Traeger pellets, but you can like mix in. We'll just throw in tea with the pellets, okay. And it just mixes in there, and it the augers push it in, and it smokes the tea with the pellets, and so it just kind of mixes that aroma into the mix.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe some like apple wood and stuff like that too. So I'd probably imbue it with an interesting flavor. That'd be cool. I never even really thought about that. But yeah, things have been chill here. I've been busy and then just worried about me and doing my thing. So
I never caught up with you on it, but how is your detox? I know this is a while back.
Things went great.
Yeah, are you still feeling the benefits?
We've kept some of what we did during it. We've kept some of those habits. I think that's what it's all about. But I did reacclimate to certain things, and we're just really focused on. So we cleansed or eliminated a bunch of stuff, and then as we brought it back in, we were more focused on quality than anything. Mm-hmm. So I haven't been buying like regular, store bought anything really. We've been buying, local, handmade, high quality, like sourdough for bread, and like small dairy farm milk and cheese and things like that. It's been going awesome. We definitely feel better. That's for sure.
Lucky you.
Yeah, for sure. It's work, but we have a couple farms that we get a lot of our produce and stuff from too. So that makes a big impact. We do you know what a CSA is?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a subscription kind of deal.
Yeah.
So we get CSA produce on a regular basis, and top quality. I think they're the one place we get our CSA from is actually one of the only organic certified around here. But not that certification means a lot, but it is telling to some extent.
Yeah.
So they're awesome people and awesome product. So
what's in season right now?
Right now we've been getting beans, like green beans, yellow beans, burgundy beans.
Cool.
We're getting some garlic scapes, broccoli, some kale, and mixed greens. We aren't quite to the meat of the produce season yet. Obviously, that doesn't come until like about end of July, August. Something like that. That's when things really start popping off, and we'll start getting more of the substance. But we're trying to eat light anyway because it's hot. I think that's kind of what it's all about. So yeah, it's been nice.
Yeah, the last time that we were hanging out and chatting regularly, you guys were still getting thick layers of snow.
Yeah.
Now it's hot.
It's like 95 out right now, man. It is smoking up here at the moment. So
what's the humidity though?
Well, where I live right next to the creek, so it's fairly high. I mean, it's got to be 80%.
Oh shit, that's uncomfortable.
Maybe plus. So it's pretty humid right where I'm at. But in general, it's more of a dry heat, and it's been a dry year too. So we're a couple inches behind the average right now as far as precipitation goes, and fire danger is kind of high, and they canceled a lot of the fireworks shows and things like that. So yeah, it's been fairly dry up here, but it is warm to say the least, and we get lots of hail. That is it's a demon up here. Every other week we get hail, so
wow.
Not even every other, every week. So I think 2 weeks ago, my town's just got completely wiped out as far as hail goes. So broke pretty much everybody's windshield in town. It was brutal.
The hail's scary.
I'm not a fan. Let me tell you that much. I'm a pretty chill dude, but that's something that gets me anxious at an instant. So it's destructive. And plus, usually with hail, we're looking at like tornado weather up here. We're right at the edge of Tornado Alley. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how about you guys? What have you been up to?
This is it. I mean,
you've been busy though.
Yeah.
You've been all over the place doing all sorts of stuff.
I mean, here, like I literally have been sitting here.
Fair enough. I mean, that was kind of the goal in the first place, was it not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sitting there having tea, doing your thing.
Yeah. But yeah, the events went well, the tastings went well, and so I've got to arrange another series. I don't know what it's going to be on, but kind of compiling that together. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of kind of the civic engagement stuff and hosting conversations. Yeah, to help people do the work they need to be doing. Did you hear yesterday or Tuesday in the morning? We did the one with Ray and Lisa C and Linda Louie.
Yeah, that panel. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it, but I did see a lot of the stuff for it. So
yeah, it was good. It's really good.
I like how you're bringing attention to some good points, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, hold on, guys. I gotta go. Someone's at the door. I gotta go. Be right back.
Somebody's knocking. How you been, Jeremy?
No, good. Better since things have been reopening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Indiana is in pretty good shape where we're at now. Because the idea was that by July 4th, most things would be open entirely, and that's pretty much where we're at.
Yeah.
Basically, Indianapolis and up near Chicago are still kind of hot spots, but everywhere else in the state is just sort of be careful and we'll be fine.
Right.
I think sometimes we're a little too careful. There is sort of a, you know, like at a certain point, just try a little bit harder. But otherwise, I think the Midwest hasn't been hit like anywhere else.
We're also much more conservative than other places, so we tend to react a little less, like we're a little less volatile than a lot of places, so it's kind of the same thing here. Everything's pretty much opened back up, so a couple of places shut down in the meantime, but completely for good. But for the most part, everybody's back doing their thing,
Yeah.
We got, Walmart's almost back to normal, so that's telling,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Walmart's still a mess here. I avoid every place. Because, we're mandatory on the masks now, which that doesn't get me bothered. Like, I'll wear a mask, I prefer, actually, if I'm going to a place where there's people around and it just feels more, comfortable with what's going on. But where it becomes uncomfortable is, like, with the folks that don't want to wear the mask. And it's like, it creates conflict. It's like, do you address it with them or not? And then whenever you see that there are, like, employees that have to address it with them, and you just have to deal with that, like, very uncomfortable conversation. I haven't seen any, like, big fights. Yeah, of course, on the internet there's videos, but
Right.
It's definitely, like, conflict. It's confrontational and uncomfortable.
I just avoid places with that many people anyway.
Yeah, so I just avoid it. Yeah, I've gone to Walmart. I've gone to Walmart one time since pandemic, and I absolutely had to go before I went camping, and there was some, like, things I needed for my camping that I couldn't have gone to anywhere else. But my Walmart by my house, so there's a Walmart, like, less than a mile from my house. Like, I have one very close to me, and last week, one of the kids that was found hanging was right in the back of the Walmart. And so there was, like, a big controversy here.
Wow.
That, like, one of it was like 5 or 6 people across the country in the past few weeks have been found, hanging, and the media is, like, really not giving a lot of details about it. And every single one of them was deemed a suicide. And this one, the local media didn't talk about it for 5 days. And even the parents of the person found didn't get any information for 5 days. And then they come out and say, oh, it was a suicide. And they're like, well, what about the Walmart cameras? Because it was, like, right in the back of the Walmart. They knew there was camera footage. And then, the parents came out to the media and assured the public that they saw the footage, and it definitely was a suicide. Just, like, weird, like, just weird. The whole story, and not just this Vegas story, but, like, the whole thing is just weird how it all went down.
Yeah, depression is real. There's a cleansing going on here. I mean, world is changing quickly. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, so what's going on with Sturgis? Is that coming up? Is that still going down?
Yeah, they're having Sturgis, so it's good. Well, basically, I think the cities thought, they asked the residents, should we have it, and residents were like 60-40 no, basically.
Oh wow.
But I think the city's thought on it was, we can't stop everybody from coming up here anyway, and they're right. Everybody would have showed up anyway. All the people that were going to come up here are going to come up here. They've had stuff booked out for the whole year. They've already paid for everything. They were going to show up, because half the reason people come up here is to ride the Black Hills.
You don't need the festival for that, right? You can just do that, right?
And so really what it would have done if they wouldn't have had Sturgis is it would have spread everybody out throughout the hills more. And I think that would have been worse, if anything. Because usually they're kind of concentrated within Sturgis, and then they, like, spread out as they please. But if there was no Sturgis, they would have just been everywhere all the time. You know?
Yeah.
So they're still having it. I don't know how it's going to pan out. I think it may get, don't quote me on this one, but it may get ugly because of how much friction there is in the world. And they're already, I've seen posts like screenshots of posts on Craigslist, like, hey, we're gonna have a Black Lives Matter rally, and the white bikers are like, bring it on, I'm strapped, this and that.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen, man. It's gonna be an interesting deal. But that'll be one of the biggest gatherings in probably the world since coronavirus.
Yeah.
For sure. So I don't know what to think. I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm just an observer, man. I try not to dig too deep into this. And
I think there could be some really big opportunity manufacturing some like leather masks with like studs in them and stuff. And
that's a fair point. Honestly, no, like for real, they already sell face masks for riding, and they look. They're the exact same thing, and they always have like a skull on them. Or something. And that's already a popular business. So if you were like, hey, these ones got a filter in them and stuff too, they just be flying out the door.
You can still be cool when you're safe.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And bikers are all about just buying stuff too, so they'd be all about it.
Oh, I got really excited last night. I was talking to my friend. He does like industrial hemp. He's a grower. He's like a breeder and grower, and he was telling me about some projects he's involved in, and he was saying the NK95 mask, making it from hemp, and I'm like, yeah, it's such a good idea.
Yeah,
like
there you go, man.
made, like,
if there's a niche, fill it, dude.
Yeah.
That's how I started my business. If there's a hole, fill it, man.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's it. That's a big opportunity. Even my brother, since the day one of pandemic, my brother's calling me up and he was like, hey, Lise, we should like import a container of these masks and sell it. Like, it's just a temporary thing, but like the world needs it and there's an opportunity. Let's do it. And I'm like, you don't know. That's not what I'm into. And like, I'm not wanting to work with some like Chinese factory and, having to do all of that work. But,
probably the same way as me, where ethics get in the way of everything. In this modern world, it's like hard to do anything because of my ethics and the standards to which I hold myself. I'll only sacrifice my truth so much because I can't play that game. I feel like shit. Pandering to certain things, and so I just stay out of it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Where'd Jeremy go? He disappeared.
I don't know. He dipped out.
He's like, bikers. I don't like bikers. I'm out of here.
So yeah, I've been slowly getting through all those teas. I've liked most of them already so far. I haven't quite. We've only gone through a handful of them so far.
Are you like here and there watching the videos as you're drinking them, or?
So yeah, some of them. We haven't been doing it like chronologically. You know what I'm saying? But I have been trying to stay up with all of the videos as well. And I'll watch some of them in my free time when I'm not drinking the tea, kind of thing,
Yeah.
And then take that into me when I do pick up the tea. But I really wanted I wanted to be a part of that and ordered it because I really wanted that like full spectrum sample of all your teas.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I figured that much. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a good thing. There was even a guy in New Zealand that had got it, and the time difference, he wasn't able to do the live videos, but he owns a tea shop. So I'm thinking, he probably just did that so he can have the samples, and the videos are just like an extra little add-on. My brother was saying that we should do that for like all of our wholesale sampling, like have interactive video sessions and,
right.
Just to kind of add that extra level of engagement with
right.
With
Absolutely,
the
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Whatever you can do to basically you're bringing along that level of education with your product. You're not just like, here, taste the sample and and think what you think, but you're like adding that. I really like how, you know, with those videos, it's like you get a little insight into the person making them, and then you can be like, oh, okay, like you get a little bit more of that energy. You can feel it when you drink the tea, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
That was the goal. Yeah. Well, thank you for supporting it and being a part of it. I learned a lot. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the future ones. I'm going to do like a cooking demo one. My friends have a software company here in Vegas called Secret Burger that works with chefs to create basically like pop-up menus, like in special events where they sell tickets to that. And then, you know, they share a cut with the chef and the software, and it's like a marketplace for pop-up events, basically. But right now, they can't really have pop-up events anymore.
Right.
So they've kind of changed the model to like cooking kits. So like popular chefs in town would put together like a cooking kit box that you buy and you pick it up from the restaurant, and then they do a Facebook Live demo where they teach you, and so you basically cook like their famous dishes from their restaurants at home. Yeah.
I could see how you could translate that into tea, basically.
Yeah. So I told my friend, I'm like, hey, could I do like a matcha one? Like I could do like an hour long, maybe 3 different matcha things, and it's like, this is your matcha dinner. You know, like there's a cake, and maybe I was thinking about making like an affogato and maybe like the Dalgona. That's something that's really popular right now.
With the affogato, what do you do with that? Do you just make a matcha ice cream?
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know how I would translate that because you need some equipment for that. Because like I have to like make it so this box can ship to whoever, and then they would be able to make everything with me. So,
right.
Yeah, like maybe I'll show and I would love to like show tricks, you know, of how to do things, you know, without equipment. Because like there is a way of making ice cream without an ice cream machine.
Oh yeah, I did it when I was in school. So
yeah, it's like a little science experiment. I'm a food scientist, so I'm always thinking that way. That's like
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how my session will be different. Because usually it's like the popular chefs in town, and a lot of like their live video is more of like their personality, you know, because their followers, their community, their regulars are the ones that buy these boxes and cook with them. And so in the live video, like. And everything is pretty pre-prepped. You know, like the chefs will pre-prep most things so that, you know, it's basically just like empty the bag out into the saucepan and then empty that bag out there and cook like this.
Right.
And it's a lot about how you plate it, and then it's like a lot of the chef's personality just like talking to their community, which, you know, like I don't really have like a foodie community here in Vegas. So I told them, I was like, hey, I need to be able to ship these boxes because I'm pretty sure most people that are going to want to buy this and participate are going to be like outside of Vegas. They're going to be, our community outside. But, you know, I always like to talk about science and stuff. So I think that would be like, I'd be spending most of the time like explaining the science of what's going on while we're doing stuff. And it's with matcha, which, you know, most people are like kind of clueless when it comes to matcha.
Right. They've heard the name. They might have tried something somewhere, but they really don't know anything about it.
Yeah. So I want to have all 3 grades of the sample as part of the box. So like the kitchen grade, the cafe grade, the ceremonial, and then I can explain the differences so I can educate people about matcha. And then we can have different applications of the different grades, like how you would use them in your kitchen.
Yeah, we've been talking about actually like a subscription box as well, along the same lines. I've been doing some research into all that. The packaging is a headache, but once we get that figured out, we might start pumping things out. You know, some tea and some accessories, and you know, we're in the herbal world, so we can do all sorts of stuff. Body products. We could do like a self-care kind of box. We can do, you know, all sorts of different themes. So that's been on our mind too. Same kind of deal. Except for us, it's the opposite way around, where the only people that are going to buy our stuff are going to be around here. Yeah. You know. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
See how it goes. That's a goal for eventually, anyway.
So I have a lot of you know, advice in regards to subscription boxes. That's actually how I started out, like in the very, very beginning.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. and I put a lot of money into it, and that was whenever I was first getting, all the venture capital, so I had a lot of opportunity and influence to do it right, and to do the marketing right, and to do the packaging right, which that was the most expensive and challenging part, was the packaging, because we did these like really beautiful tins, actually these tins, these like airtight tins, and it's got all of the info. Like there's so much information on here, like
awesome.
Like all of the data, all of the information that's on this tin, like when I gave it to the designer, was a page and a half of content. So it's got like all the origin information, harvest date, brewing instructions, tasting notes, and then they're airtight, and then they're embossed and debossed on the top.
Oh wow, that's gorgeous. Sweet.
Yeah, no, I definitely I wanted to have like the gold standard,
yeah, absolutely.
And then even the box that we would ship it in was this beautiful box. Like I told the designer I wanted to have the feeling of like Louis Vuitton branding, but then also, having all the information, the transparency and the storytelling is big too. So like the box is really fancy looking, like it has an insert and these tins fit right into it, and we shipped every other month 4 new teas, and it didn't work. And so my warnings about it is that I think subscription boxes as like a business model on their own is a challenge, and that's why I abandoned it. But they're really great as like an augmented part of like your community, that your offline community. Yeah. So like if you have a tea shop, or if you have like series of events that you do with like regular followers in your own community, and then if you can save on the shipping too, that helps. It makes your product more attractive, and you can hold more of that margin. Because subscription boxes are like commodity things now. They're
absolutely.
And that's the marketing. The marketing is like, oh, get your first box for $5 or whatever, So like cost of acquisition is really high and really competitive. And then another issue is on the logistics and the ordering. So like when you're ordering your product for your next month's box, you have to like forecast how many subscribers you're going to have. And you don't want to have too little. If you don't have enough product to cover, if you have like some influencer that shares your stuff, or somehow you get some kind of growth hack that just like explodes it, you need to make sure you have enough product to fulfill. But then if you order too much product, then you're sitting on all this inventory. And if you're solely this subscription box, you already have to think about sourcing the next month's teas. And then you're sitting on all this inventory, and every month you're like gathering up all of this like inconsistent extra inventory, and it's really hard to sell it and move it. But something that I've seen work, and I think is a really clever hack to this, is doing your subscription as like a cohort. So like when you get new subscribers every month, they start from box 1, and then box 2 the next. You know what I mean?
Like a chronological sort of thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one thing we've been thinking on that note is more of like less of the regular subscription kind of deal, and making them more like gift boxes, if you will, something like that, like somewhere right in between there, to where it's like we'll do a certain amount of these, and you just basically buy that box, and then when we're ready for the next one, we bring that one out and we try and sell all those, and then so on and so forth. Not so much that regular interval thing, because we're dealing with our local community. I'm not really trying to do like an online competition. I'm trying to get people in our area into tea,
So I think that works. That works. If it's just like an augmented activity for your already going on offline business. Like,
yes, it would definitely be a supplement.
Yeah. But like anytime I get like an inquiry of a new client, like a new startup, and they're like, oh, we want to do a tea of the month box. I'm like, okay, that's not going to last long.
I've thought about a lot of the logistics of it. It's just too much. You know what I mean? It's just there's just too much there. One of the issues though I've found is basically trying, like you said, or like we were talking about packaging, and it's trying to find somebody that'll do a small, like a micro lot of that stuff. You know, like, hey, I want 50 of these, and it's like,
no,
it's impossible. You know what I mean? Like,
these
they don't
tins,
want to
when
put all
I
that
order
work
these,
into it for $300 purchase.
when I order these tins, I have to order 10,000 at a time.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of like maybe try and make somewhat of a universal style packaging, and then include different facets to it each time, you know. But yeah, it's something we've been thinking about. Like I said, kind of more along the line of gift boxes, but I don't really know what term to, because it's a gift for yourself, not for someone else.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I think that's always good. It's always smart to package things up and just make it easy for people, especially around holiday season, right? Like, people just want that, oh, I'm going to this Christmas party, or I'm going to my aunt's house, like, let me just grab this. So, like, tea shops have a lot of success, like, when they make a display, like, at the front with, like, these packs that would include, wares and different stuff, and you have them at different price points. Maybe have like a $50 one, $100 one, because I think that's like when it comes to gifting, a lot of people, like, they have different. This is a $20 friend. This is a $50 friend. This is a $100
right,
friend.
Absolutely, yeah. We did a line of gift baskets this last holiday season, and it went great, honestly. We didn't really try and push them very much because we only did a limited run of them, but they came with some teas, some herbal teas, and then like a tea sock, like a strainer, like a net. And then like what we use all the time is like a mason jar with a drinking lid.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen
cool.
those.
I haven't seen that, but I imagine it. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we do like a mason jar with a drinking lid, and then my mom hand crocheted a bunch of cozies for them. So we sold those in there with it, and just some informational material and things like that. So it was super simple, but we did some nice like wicker baskets and wrapped them all up, and so they were just like ready to go. You could just scoop that off the table and give it to your friend.
Yeah. So,
and they went well. We had good feedback on that. It was kind of like a whole setup. Like, go make herbal tea at your house.
Mm-hmm.
It was fairly simple. So, but yeah, something to think on anyway.
That accelerator I went through, they were really pushing me toward a subscription model, and I said, but we revised it to the point, and I'm still looking into it, but it'd be more like a tea of the month, but it'd be like one tea of the month. But the idea is this, that we were going to create a program around it. So we're going to, because like, this is essentially a Catholic company, and there's something called Novena, which is a 9-day prayer. So we would send you 10 days worth of tea. So the tea comes essentially with a program, which in a way encourages you to consume the entire product. Because the big fear I've heard from a lot of people is that in tea of the month or gift box or things like that, they stockpile tea and eventually they just cancel the program. So we're trying to work around. So start it as a private membership club, make it exclusive. So at least you have, at least you can anticipate, at least you can anticipate what to get, how much to source in. And you can just sort of slowly expand it beyond that. But we said there's kind of workarounds, but essentially you are not a subscription company, because it is, once you're all in on that, it should just be a supplemental part of your business, incentivizing new customers to come in. So we were just sort of playing around with, let's say I plan to introduce this tea in November. So if you're part of this club, what you're going to do is that you're going to be the first to get this tea in October, and we'll throw in a 10% discount. But it won't be like a flat fee. It won't be like you have to pay $20 a month. Basically what we'll say is that you're going to get the new tea before anybody else. We'll give you a 10% discount. You will buy it at like a retail price, but it'll never exceed $20. So in a way, it's like, it could be $12, it could be $15, but it'll never exceed $20. So it's not like, okay, $20 a month, you get the box at the first day of the month, and it's a much more, and you have to abide by this really strict cycle. that this will allow you to have a little bit more flexibility.
Right.
You know, like, so I mean, like, we were really trying to brainstorm ideas about how to have it but not rely on it, and to give you enough flexibility where you're not going to stockpile inventory or alienate your customer. Yeah, so it's like
simplicity is important there.
it's tricky, and I thought, and I remember thinking that the big fear is that you stockpile tea. So I was thinking, like, okay, we're gonna do a 3 sample box, so like 3 15-gram bags. But the moment they taste one tea and they don't like it, that's it. It's sort of stored away. But if you create some sort of program that kind of encourages them to drink the tea every single day for a certain amount of time, if you can get them to drink the tea before the end of the month, then they will never have to, you know, so like the anticipation for the next month is there.
Right, it's gone by the time they get
Yeah,
the next one.
You really want them to make sure they drink it all before the next package arrives. And then you throw in like another incentive. All right, if you like this tea, if you order whatever you order by the end of the month, we'll knock off 10%.
Right.
So it's just like incentives a big deal too. I've talked to people who've been in the subscription game, and they say incentives, 5% off, 10% off, just anything like that. People just really cling on to. They love it.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of an idea with our boxes, was to collaborate with local businesses too and offer, you know, discounts for those businesses.
Yeah.
And that, you know, and as much value as you could pack in there, but not of all the same flavor of thing. You know what I mean? There's like a diversity of stuff going on there. Like, we might do one box and collaborate with our local honey farm, and then I do another box and collaborate with our local coffee shop, and you know what I'm saying, and kind of throw some extra stuff in there.
It's a good
So
idea.
Yeah.
they're not just, it's not just limited to like, hey, here's this specific stuff, but here's more value to it.
Mhm.
So if nothing else, you're getting a few coupons, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, hey
Oh.
guys, I've been on for 2 hours now, and it's Friday, you know, so I'm gonna try to
Well, go enjoy your Friday.
I'm
I'm
gonna go.
working, so
Oh, you're
or
working?
will be here shortly. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a busy weekend. It's a big party weekend. I'm sure it's a lot of work, right?
Yeah, it's kind of on and off. It's one of those weekends where everybody's out partying, camping.
Oh, I see.
So like, they don't need a whole lot of cab rides, you know. So it's kind of up and down. There will be a decent flux of people, but at the same time, it's nothing too crazy. I usually don't work the weekends, but I did volunteer because it was the holiday, and we just wanted to be prepared just
Cool.
in case.
Well,
So
hey,
you can
I
see how
hope you
hard
have a
it's working
safe
right now.
you have a safe weekend and no crazy drivers, you know, make any trouble.
Yeah, for
you.
sure. I'll be taking it slow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I'll try and jump on again here soon.
yeah, definitely. Cool, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate you, and this was
Yeah,
fun. It was good to
absolutely.
catch up. Much love, guys. Have a great week.